in governance. Please welcome a man most suited to speak to accountability in governance for president of the People's National Party and leader of the opposition, a man who has led with integrity and vision, Mark Jefferson Golding.
Thank you very much, Crystal. Jamaica's democratic journey began with the fight for the right to vote and then self-government. Today, we must go further. Democracy is not only about casting a vote. It's about giving citizens an authentic voice in the decisions that affect their lives. The People's National Party is committed to participatory democracy, where governance is transparent, inclusive, and accountable. We will modernize our public institutions, return power to communities, and rebuild trust in government by creating a system that delivers for the people. Now, earlier you heard some constitutional aspects of this in the introduction of a procedure for impeachment, for recall, for the opposition chairing the committees in Parliament, and I would add unexplained wealth orders. Further to all of those, we must restore and will restore the Office of the Political Ombudsman as an independent watchdog, separate from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. We must ensure the independence and effectiveness of the Integrity Commission to enable it to pursue its statutory mandate without fear or favor, including desirable improvements such as the modification of the so-called gag clause to achieve a workable balance between protecting legitimate reputational rights and ensuring timely disclosure in the public interest. I've said in the coming elections, there will be candidates who are under investigation for illicit enrichment, and the voters will not know who they are other than one. We will strengthen the oversight committees in Parliament, including by enacting mechanisms that facilitate the participation of civil society and other non-state actors in the work of those oversight committees. We must broaden the democracy in this country and include more people in the process of government. We will modernize the Access to Information Act, which was introduced by the People's National Party and which needs further reform, including to implement simpler processes, shorter timelines, and a broader scope to facilitate the flow of information to the public. We will modernize the legal framework for obtaining permits and licenses to ensure efficiency, fairness, and transparency. We will increase the monetary jurisdiction of the parish courts so more Jamaicans can have access to justice that is affordable and closer to home. And I would remind that the emergence of the parish courts took place when I was Minister of Justice, when we modernized the system from resident magistrate court to the parish court system. And we will hold public dialogue on the National Sex Offender Registry to ensure a balance between public safety and rehabilitation of offenders, because the society is calling for that. In local government, we will build on the constitutional amendment enacted in 2015 that guarantees a local system of democratic governance. We will review the 3 strategic laws that we passed under Portia Simpson Miller: the Local Governance Act, the Local Government Financing and Financial Management Act, and the Local Government Unified Service and Employment Act, with a view to making necessary adjustments followed by full enforcement of their provisions, which has not happened yet. We will empower the parish development committees and community development committees to create local plans. We will shift focus from constituency politics to community development by expanding the powers of our municipal corporations to make a difference in local people's lives. And we will establish a national People's Assembly, including diaspora representatives, to review laws and shape policy impacting local communities. We will introduce participatory budgeting and local planning, where citizens help to decide the spending priorities, which is contemplated by the 3 strategic laws. And we will create stronger accountability measures for local government, linking funding to measurable performance. Jamaica is demanding broader inclusion alongside greater accountability and integrity in public affairs. And the People's National Party, under my leadership, will deliver on that broad call. Thank you very much.
You can take it from any angle, but we do want to hear how we will better secure Jamaica, but not just our young people, but Jamaicans at large.
Thank you. There's a fundamental difference in the approach of the People's National Party to the existing administration. If I were to characterize the difference, I would say it's the militarization or the warrior mentality of the security forces that this government promotes versus the guardian mentality that the PNP promotes. So with a warrior mentality, our security forces go out to fight crime and enforce the law. With a guardian mentality, our security forces go out every day to uphold the human rights of our citizens. So we don't look on young people as potential recruits to gangs, and if they go off the rails, then we need to come down on them hard, longer prison sentences, etc. We want to give them opportunities that will divert them away from a life of crime. And most of my colleagues have given a shout out to the next Prime Minister. But I want to give a shout out to the former Minister of Justice, Mark Jefferson Golding, because he made some transformative laws. Actually, they were more about social engineering than fighting crime. For example, the decriminalization of ganja for personal use and the automatic expungement of previous criminal records. That moved tens of thousands of young Jamaicans, mostly men, from the margins of the economy and allow them now to get farm work card, to get visa, to be able to work in many financial institutions, etc. So our approach is not all about fighting crime, as important as that is. But in terms of sustainability, we're more interested in crime prevention, creating opportunities for our young people, investing in our communities, building our schools, ensuring that there are employment and training opportunities that are as attractive or more attractive than a life of crime. So this is really the fundamental difference in our approaches. And when you talk about the future, it can't be about a police force that's primarily into militarization and occupying force in our communities. We want safe communities, but we want them built on a foundation of trust between the citizens and the security forces. They will be partners in building Jamaica in terms of our human development, in terms of our infrastructure development, and in terms of the social transformation of many of these communities which are generating most of the violent crime today.
Thank you very much, Senator Bunting. And now we are inviting Senator Fraser Binns to join the conversation. We're talking a lot about the future being with young people. But what will be the future of the world that they live in? We face severe degradation of natural resources. We're looking at unsustainable practices locally, but also globally, that affect the quality of life here on Earth for all of us. And as a small island developing state, Jamaica has to look critically at how we are managing our own natural resources, which will end up being inheritances for those to come. What are some of the big shifts that need to happen at a government level for us locally to preserve, protect, and extend this inheritance?
Thank you so much for that question, Crystal, and good evening, everyone. And let me say good evening to our incoming Prime Minister, and also to applaud him, because the issue of the environment is really not something that you hear people talk about every day. But under the leadership of Mark Jefferson Golding, the environment has taken center place, because he recognizes that we cannot have a conversation about education if our schools are hot, the children can't learn. He understands that commodores can't talk about health if we do not understand how climate change affects health. He understands that Mikhail can't want a good transport system if we don't understand how climate change will impact our roads. And Julian cannot speak about a stable economy until we understand how climate change and the destruction of the environment impacts the economy. And so for us in the People's National Party, we believe that we can have the development of the economy and the preservation of the environment. And to that extent, we also know that there are certain things that must be led by the government, starting with how we as government will operate. And because of that, we are committed to ensuring that every single ministry, agency, and department has what we call an environment impact assessment on any project that we are going to undertake. Too often we see government agencies going out and cutting down trees and building roads, destroying our mangroves without considering the environmental impact that it will have. Under Mark Golding-led administration, this is going to be a thing of the past because we will have the environment impact. But we also have to understand that we can't police ourselves. So we have to take a laser look at NEPA and the NRC. And we're committing to reviewing the NRC Act to ensure that NEPA gets the independence it needs to be the watchdog and the protector of the environment. We're also going to ensure that NEPA does not have to appeal to the Minister of Environment. We see the Bengal case where, notwithstanding the decision of NEPA, an appeal was made to the Prime Minister, acting as the Minister of Environment, who reversed that decision with over 100 conditions. Under Mark Golding-led administration, there will be an independent appeal tribunal where persons can appeal to independent of the Minister of the Environment. Data, research is important to us, and so we will, through NEPA, ensure that decisions are made through in-depth research, which identifies best practices. One of the things that affects us in Jamaica is that so often persons hear that we did not know that they're going to build in our community. With us, we know that the involvement and the engagement of the citizen is important in decision-making process. And it's for that reason that we are committing to ratify the ESCAZO agreement. This agreement really puts power in the hand of citizens. So it says that citizens must have information about developmental projects in their communities. They must have information, they must have the access to information, but not just access to saying here it is, but access in terms of the information should be made available in a form that is easily read and understood. We also believe that under the Escazú agreement, that the citizens should have a right in the decision-making process. So they must say how they feel about any development project that will be taking place, and access to justice. Too often we hear the outcry of persons who have an environmental issue and it either takes forever to be resolved in our court system. We are committed to implementing the Escazú agreement so that access to justice in environmental matters will be obtained. For us in the People's National Party, we see the environment as a center around which development is going to take place. And we also understand what it means for the environment. We will also be working with our international partners because we know that Jamaica, as a small island developing state, cannot fight it alone. And that is why when Mark Golden becomes the chairman of CARICOM, he will ensure that CARICOM truly takes its place in the world in terms of negotiation. We will work with our diplomatic partners. We'll ensure that issues of climate justice, loss and damage are brought to the fore. And those are just some of the things that the People's National Party will advance in terms of protecting the environment.